It is time for another edition of the Prospect Profile, a mini-series we do here within the Cincinnati Reds franchise where we go over top prospects from AA Chattanooga up to AAA Louisville. Last time we went over third base / shortstop prospect Elly De La Cruz, and now this time we're going to be going over another shortstop prospect in Matt McLain. McLain is a 22-year-old shortstop. He throws right-handed and bats right-handed. He stands 5'11", weighs in at 180 pounds, and he was drafted in the 2021 MLB entry draft, 17th overall out of the University of California, Los Angeles. And as of right now, he is a 65 overall A potential, which is obviously very solid. He is currently the number 4 overall prospect in the Reds organization. Elly De La Cruz is number 3, and then 1 and 2 is Hunter Greene and Nick Lodolo, according to MLB.com, that is. And the thing about McLain is that he is a very well-rounded baseball player. A real baseball player is something that scouts would throw around about him. A 60-grade hit tool, a 50-grade power tool, a 60-grade run, a 55-grade arm, a 50-grade field. I mean, if the worst thing about you is average, definitely a pretty solid ball player. I've seen a lot of Alex Bregman comparisons when it comes to McLain, and it's hard to ignore that because it is pretty obvious. He's a college shortstop just like Bregman was, and he's a college shortstop who's starting his career like that in the minor leagues, but he might not stick at shortstop just like Bregman did. As you may have noticed on his player card, he can play shortstop, but he can also play literally anywhere else besides first base and catcher. So who knows where McLain ends up as his everyday position for us. If he ends up being the everyday shortstop for us in the major leagues, I am plenty good with that. But also if he ends up playing center field or third base or second base or left field or right field, I'm plenty fine with anywhere. Anywhere where he's going to get everyday ABs is a good thing in my mind. And positional versatility is also never a bad thing to have on the team. He's got low 60s ratings defensively across the board, and that's okay for a shortstop as it is right now, but obviously with an A potential, 22 years old, he is going to keep improving, and, within a couple years, those low 60 overalls or ratings on the defensive side are going to jump into mid-70s before you know it. As for his at-the-plate approach, he is definitely more of a contact hitter than a power hitter, but that's not to say his power is a slouch either. He is known for his bat-to-ball skills. They are very solid. He's already got a little bit of a decent contacting game and then already a very solid 65 vision, which, once again, is going to keep going up as he develops. And right now, the power is not impressive, but like I said, he keeps developing, and that is going to get up there. And Matt McLain could be a guy who hits like 15 home runs in the big leagues for us. Like I said, very much like an Alex Bregman type player. I don't think he's going to have like the super seasons that Bregman has had where he hits like 30, but 15 home runs, definitely a respectable number of home runs to be hitting. And then McLain also has the 60-grade run tool, which definitely fits with what we're trying to build here in Cincinnati. 74 speed in game. Only a 39 steal rating, though, which is something that just kind of straight across the board in this game. Even guys that have lots of speed don't have high steal ratings, and that's probably mainly because guys just don't steal at all anymore, like even fast guys. And that's a rating that's much like stamina for pitchers. It just doesn't really get developed when you can't. I think you can train it, but it just doesn't really progress the way that like contact would. So I have actually thought about being like, hey, if we have this super fast guy in the organization, I could manually bump up his steal rating as his career progresses. I'm obviously not going to shoot up to 99 or anything, but I mean, 39 is definitely a bit low. I could see myself shooting it up to like a mid-50, low 60s rating. And I don't believe that steal rating is really that tied into overall rating like defensive ratings are. So, I mean, if I bump his steal rating up to like a 60, it's not going to shoot his overall from a 65 to like an 80 like I would if I bumped up his fielding ratings, for example. And Matt McLain's MLB ETA is actually 2023, so I doubt that he starts next season in the big for us, but he is definitely a guy who we could see getting called up at some point in the 2023 season for season number 2. And I mean, if he hits at the big league level, he could definitely stick around for a long time. The thing is, I just don't want to be forcing him onto the big league roster. If there's not a spot for Matt McLain to play every day in the big leagues, then I'm not going to be having him in the big leagues because I just don't want him sitting on the bench rotting away. I want him getting everyday regular ABs and being able to develop until we do have a spot for him in the major leagues. But with that being said, he's definitely not going to need too much time in the minors because he is a guy who went through college, and most highly touted college guys really don't need that much time in the minors anyways. So that'll wrap things up here for this edition of the Cincinnati Reds prospect profile of shortstop prospect Matt McLain. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, if you have a relative who listens to Walker Hayes, please get them to stop.